My name is Chris, and today we're going to see if the latest reissues from Rhino Records and Cooking Vinyl are worth your time. Welcome to the Vinyl Attack. Reissues. They're everywhere. With the huge resurgence that has been the vinyl record scene over the past decade or so, it was bound to happen. More and more people want to own their own copies of albums gone by, but scarcity and surging prices can make that difficult. In an effort to stem that tide, and I'm sure to make a buck in the process, many record labels have been reissuing classic titles regularly across the board. To celebrate their 45th year producing quality records, Rhino has recently released a hand-picked collection of classics cut at various notable mastering studios such as Bernie Grundman's place, pressed at Third Man Records right here in Detroit, and probably Nashville, but whatever, all on red vinyl that Rhino are calling Rhino Reds. These limited edition pressings are only available on the Rhino website, but each include not only the primary record, but a 7-inch bonus 45 as well. Prices range from $30 to $35, but you might consider taking advantage of the Rhino Red Bundle, which lets you mix and match any 4 titles for just under $100. That's $25 an album, a good deal all by itself, let alone with the addition of a 7-inch record to go along with the main course. Good luck finding that value anywhere else. Rhino were kind enough to send a couple of these offerings my way for review, and I was eager to clean them in the ultrasonic and dive right in. While I like the look of colored vinyl, I'm not a big fan of its sound in most cases. I've talked a bit about this in the past, but for the purposes of this video, I mainly wanted to see if these records would hold up to my scrutineering. Otis Redding's Love Man was first on the turntable, and before I even dropped the stylus, I was impressed with just how flat this record is. Yes, that sounds ridiculous, as records should indeed be flat in every case, but I don't have to tell you how often warped pressings make their way into the mainstream market. There is a reason I recommend buying a record pie flattener. No, we shouldn't need it, but sadly, in this modern pressing era, we do. Not here, though. Third Man apparently has their quality control on lock. After giving the album a couple of plays through, I found the pressing as enjoyable as I did the music. With the notable songs like Higher and Higher and Love Man satiating your need for the familiar, I would encourage you to listen to the entire album front to back. It's incredibly easy to do, with the entire tracklist not having a single filler song among them. The natural saturation of Otis's voice in this recording comes through crystal clear and captures what the tone and technique of the period were in terms of recording. Next through the ultrasonic and onto the turntable was a collection of songs I'd not heard before, at least not in this order. The Doors' Golden Album, which I found to be an interesting inclusion to the 45th anniversary foray. This 1968 compilation was released exclusively in Japan, featuring hits from their first 3 studio albums. Staying true to the original, you'll find the track listing inside and out presented in Japanese, with a tipped-in lyric sheet making its home in a deluxe gatefold jacket. Unsurprisingly, this album sounds as sharp and dynamic as you remember the originals being. While there wasn't anything noticeably new in the sonic areas of this release, it was nice to have a more rare title come to the mainstream with a modern touch. It was, again, as flat a pressing as you would want, and the musical presentation hit all the right marks. No harsh top end, no unwanted distortion or gain, and no pops or clicks pressed into the vinyl itself. Just superb and classic Doors tone coming from an assembly of hits that you're not only familiar with, but will want to hear again. Not just focusing on their newly created Reds lineup, Rhino also sent over a pair of box sets that they've recently released. The Doors, Live at the Matrix, is an all-encompassing song list of brilliant pieces recorded just before they hit it big. Raw and unencumbered, the music has energy and drive, even if the sonics aren't what you would find in a live and overly processed album of today. But that's not what the recording is supposed to be. This is a snapshot in time that captures a band on the brink of superstardom, and I find it incredibly approachable and appealing. While calling 14,000 pressings limited edition has seemed trite to me in the past, I must admit that this has indeed sold out on the Rhino website, so there must be a demand. The good news, however, is that you can find a copy if you'd like on the secondhand market for around the original listing price of $125, a fair if not modest asking price for the 37 songs spread across 5 LPs and a 7-inch 45 with a host of previous unreleased material. Last on the Rhino list was the new Van Halen box set. The Collection 2, as it's being called, encompasses the Sammy Hagar era of the band, re-releasing all 4 of the outstanding studio albums along with some studio rarities from 1989 through 2004. Without delving into the mind-numbing debate of Sammy versus Dave, let me just say that I am a fan of all of these recordings, and I was ecstatic to receive this set. I immediately opened the box set and set about cleaning the records to hear just how they sounded. I was instantly impressed. All the music in this set was mastered directly from the original master tapes and overseen by the band's longtime engineer, Don Landy. I'm sure that you are just as tired of hearing newly remastered as I am, but what I'm not tired of hearing are these pressings. To use an incredibly tired trope, I absolutely heard things on these records that I hadn't before. Now, much of that might be chalked up to the hi-fi system I have now versus the boombox style setup I had when these albums were new, but I have heard them in solid systems in the recent past. These re-releases are 100% worth your time and your money. King Edward's guitar is spacious and lush. Alex's drums have depth and punch. Mike's bass, simplistic as it may be sometimes, is driving and full, and Sammy sounds as large as you would expect from such a powerful voice. Vocal harmonies expand throughout the mix, and the instruments all sit properly in place and complete a wide soundstage that will make you sit up and take notice each and every time you listen. If you are a Van Halen fan, you absolutely owe it to yourself to pick up this set if you already haven't. In the same time frame that Rhino reached out with their latest catalog, the fantastic people at Cooking Vinyl, with whom I worked this past record store day, reached out about a reissue of their own. The 25-year anniversary of the album Munki by the Jesus and Mary Chain was abound, and I was offered an opportunity to review it. My experience with the Jesus and Mary Chain was limited, but also significantly positive. First hearing the Scottish group on the now seminal classic The Crow soundtrack, I always had the intention of looking further into the band's catalog, but somehow never quite made the effort. After spending some time with this album, I can say that this was a mistake. The waiting to make an effort part, not the album. While the band, which is led by brothers Jim and William Reed, who are also the only constant members, is said to cross the genres of indie rock, post-punk, noise rock, and even shoegaze, I find them to sit right in the now ambiguous title of alternative, back when this title seemed to mean something about the music being played. This isn't the modern era, soft, adult, contemporary rock light that I seem to hear on the radio from time to time. No, this was the alternative of my youth. The kind of music that was pushing the boundaries and ignoring mainstream media. Brash, experimental, exciting. And I missed this group completely while they were happening. Thankfully, this reissue, once again being remastered, takes the 17 songs spread across 2 albums, pressed here on red and blue vinyl, and places them in the fingertips of the seasoned fan and newly curious alike. With a complete absence of physical defects in the records themselves, I've played them over and over, getting to know the music and the sound that I unwittingly separated myself from all those years ago. The phrase better late than never has never been more apropos. Giant sonic assault might be one way of describing what you'll get on these albums, but that also isn't accurate all of the time. One of the things that I greatly admire about this band, or duo if you will, is their ability to fuse both loud and aggressive sound with a completely polar dynamic in the very next song, if not the very next verse. You'll find pounding drums, soaring guitars, and aggressive vocals right next to simple strumming, tambourines, and subdued singing, and every last one of these pieces fit into a puzzle you didn't know you were putting together. I am now a huge fan of this work, and I look forward to adding more of their classics to my collection. If you've made it this far in the video, I thank you. And for doing so, I have an opportunity for you to win a gift. I am offering up the Otis Redding album and the Doors Golden album for 2 of you lucky viewers to take home. I'm also offering up the Doors Live at the Matrix box set for one of my valued patrons on Patreon. For you standard viewers, all you need to do is subscribe to the channel and like this video. From there, simply leave the name of which album you'd like to win in the comments below, and I will pick a winner for each album and announce them in an upcoming video. Please note though, you can pick either the Otis Redding or the Doors, not both. For the Doors box set, I will make a separate post on the show's Patreon page letting you fantastic patrons know how you can get your hands on this limited edition box set. I'm afraid to tell you that the Van Halen and Jesus and Mary Chain albums will be staying here with me. I simply can't bear to part with them. Thank you to Rhino Records and Cooking Vinyl for sending me these fantastic albums for review. Thank you to my patrons on Patreon who help make these videos possible. Thanks to you for stopping by to watch, and I look forward to next time.